Okay, I don't know why it's not showing desktop audio, but whatever. If people can't hear, can y'all hear? Chat, can y'all hear what other people say? Because I'm not seeing it. Okay, audio's good. Okay, so when other people talk, people can't hear, right? Okay, hold on a second. So sorry. It's so bizarre, right? I don't even understand what is happening here. But what all right. So here's the problem. I see that the desktop audio is for some reason it's just not picking it up. Any ideas? Speaking. Brilliant. Try now?
Hello?
Monday or
Ah,
Tuesday.
Ruby, thank you. Okay, we're good.
Okay.
Brilliant, Ruby.
Let's go.
Who's cleaning who's obs now?
Haha. You can tell who
All right.
sits and gets annoyed at their audio all the time.
I really think so. Moments like this really make me wonder about like the universe and metrics like immense cosmic energy, where like his discomfort with receiving genuine appreciation like literally crashed my computer from a different nation.
I did it from parking lot Wi-Fi. That's how strong I am.
Yeah. Right. So what we're gonna try. So what we were kind of explaining is that like I know it's kind of weird that like we've talked about compliments and receiving compliments. Ruby and Kathy have talked about how we had to learn how to receive compliments, which makes sense. And so now what we're gonna try to do, and I recognize what y'all have all done, right? Which is like we've said Metric has difficulty receiving praise or appreciation, and then none of us. By the way, this is very different. I don't know if you guys got this, but like 8 weeks ago, what would we have said?
Would have been like, you're fine.
Yeah, you're so
Like,
great.
you're
Oh,
great.
like, let me show you how to, like, here's the compliment. Here, and now, like, no one, like, Metric's like, yeah, I have difficulty receiving compliments. Everyone's like, And no one's like, you're great, bro. Right? And the cool thing about that is, if we had said, you're great, bro, what would, like, then Metric would have, like, we would have triggered his algorithm. Does that make sense? And then, like, we wouldn't have, like, listened to him because we would have started his his automatic, like, compliment rejection kind of thing. And now since we, like, if you guys go back and kind of watch this later, I don't know if anyone's going to, but he's made a couple of really interesting statements. We've moved him a little bit, which is hard for me to pick up, but like even as he's starting to realize like why it's hard for him. And so I think he's actually I think we've made progress, but let's see. So Metric, if you're okay with it, what we're going to do is we're going to just share something that we appreciate about you. And you're allowed to reject it in your head. You can reject it with your words if you want to. And let's just see what happens. Right? Because this is like, that's what we're here for. We're here to try things that you can't do in normal social situations. So who wants to give it a shot?
Yeah. So Metric, I really appreciate and want to thank you for how openly you will talk about your family and your family like situations and the things that you've been through. I really appreciate that, and it must, take a lot to do that. So I just wanted to say thank you.
I appreciate that. Was I supposed to say was that I don't know. Sorry.
Good. Now we're short-circuiting him. Right? So What are you What are you
Oh.
experiencing right now, Metric?
Part of me just wants to say like I'm a pretty open person. Like I just it's really easy to write it off. Like
Yeah.
to just say I'm just like that all the time. Like I try to be open book, but if it's important to Ruby, like if it's something that she appreciates, then I should really focus on the fact that not everyone can do it, and that
Forget about what you should do. Okay, so your initial response is that's nothing special, right?
oh, I totally did the thing.
Yeah, that's okay. So let's just notice it. Go ahead, Kathy. You ready for round 2?
Well, Metric, I really admire how, like Ruby said before, how open you are with us. Not a lot of people can be vulnerable like that. I've witnessed firsthand people when it comes to explaining like what's going on, like what's your life been like. A lot of people just shut down or they're not really open to improving themselves. But right now, like being present and kind of sharing what you've been through, that's kind of tough for a lot of people to do. So I think that's a very admirable trait of you. And you seem like you're willing to kind of, learn and see if you seeing if like taking compliments is something that you could try to do. Like not a lot of people want to change as well. Some people just kind of want to be set in their own ways. So yeah, it's my compliment.
Thank you.
Welcome.
What did that feel like to hear?
I guess like hearing part of it again is just it's reinforcing that it is not a common thing, and that maybe I should acknowledge that people appreciate that.
Maybe you should, but we're not too interested in what you should do.
I have some.
Right. But do you? I mean, I'm being facetious because I think this is how cognitive change happens. You're like rewiring your neurons right now, and you're like, oh, maybe I can receive that. Are you feeling uncomfortable right now?
Oh, like I could totally run out of this car.
Okay. Do you want to stop?
I mean, it's not like it would be harder if you were like, all right, let's all line up and call Metric out on his bullshit in front of a bunch of like a couple hundred people. That would be a lot harder, I think. So, yeah.
So this is easier than that?
Well, because like at least if you were doing that, I wouldn't be able to like interject and like do it better, right? Because like I don't have that defensive maneuver. I don't have that shield. So
Okay. Would you like us to stop?
is it because if I say no, does that sound like I just want to hear good things about me?
So
Or
look at that. Like, so who's surprised by that answer from Metric? Right? Because this is what he's doing. This is like, oh, like if I don't say no, I'm compliment fishing.
Saw it coming when you asked the question.
Right? So do we see that, right? Like, because he's like, am I allowed to say yes without being narcissistic? That's kind of his question. You get that, Metric?
yeah.
Right? You're almost like, so what I'm almost kind of feeling from you is that you actually want to say it's okay and yes, keep going, but you're judging yourself for saying yes.
Yeah.
So is it okay if we keep going?
Sure.
Okay.
It's funny because I'm imagining being in Metric's seat and I'm just like, oh god, I would hate this. But yeah, okay, so and like I went through the same process, like literally when Ruby said her thing, and I was like, huh, she something about me. I would say literally the same exact thing. Oh yeah, I'm just an open guy. I don't know. Okay, so anyways, But yeah, no. I'm gonna say something about last week when you were rated by the channel and I was watching your stream, and I didn't know what to expect because I only know you through these sessions. And honestly, I thought you were very composed. I thought you were entertaining. I thought, the impression that you give when you come to these sessions is that you're this guy who, I don't know, I'm just a regular old streamer guy, Metric. That's me. But I actually thought that you were, I thought you were entertaining. You were great, and I thought you were a captivating streamer. And I think, yeah, I don't know. I feel like you should. I mean, I don't know what you should do, but I think that it was fun watching your stream, and I enjoyed my time when I was watching. So I just wanted to say that, hey, I think you're a great streamer, and yeah.
I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Now, when Metric says he really appreciates that, Metric, can you appreciate that, or are you just saying that because that's what you're supposed to say?
No, I can really appreciate that, because like that's like that's something I desperately want to be good at, is streaming. And if another streamer can say that to me, especially somebody with more experience, or like I literally plateau you above me, and if you could say like, oh, you're actually good at this, that's huge, right? Like that does mean a lot. So, and I'm not saying that what Ruby or Kathy said isn't significant. It's just, for some reason, what Zell said is easier to process, and like internalize and feed off of, I guess.
I think there are a couple things there. The first is that I kind of think about receiving compliments as like having HP and shields.
Mhm.
And Ruby and Kathy like worked through the shields. Right? It takes a couple. And maybe it's the content of what Zell said, but I don't think it's, just like Ruby and Kathy were saying, like we had to learn how to do it, right? So like learning to receive compliments, I know it's kind of weird, but takes practice. And don't worry, Metric, we're not gonna practice for 15 minutes every week here on out. But
Oh God, that's terrible.
I know. So can I share some thoughts with you, Metric?
Sure.
So the first thing is I think your way with words is awesome, dude. Like, I think you have a very, very good way of, I don't know that you know what you feel, but you can absolutely explain what you feel. So the way that you kind of talked about, like, you can reach for something with one hand and then your other hand is pulling it back. That, I think, like, encapsulates so much of what people do. We have this phrase called self-sabotage, right? Or like
Right.
lack of follow through. Because like what I get from you is that you reach for something, you get inspired and excited by something, you reach for it, but then like this other hand like comes and pulls you back. And so I genuinely think that from a, also from like a the content creation angle, the reason that we're doing this is because what y'all struggle with, a lot of people who watch this struggle with too. And sometimes what we kind of look for is like a KO or a critical hit, and I think that you share a lot of those with your language. That some of the way that you describe your own experience, as hard as it may be, actually like really captures it in a way that a lot of these like medium articles can't. Where people are like, oh, like what are the 5 signs of self-sabotage? Here are the 3 tips to help you build confidence in yourself. And like, there's a lot of like clickbaity kind of stuff out there that I really think you have a good way with words. And I've never watched your stream, and I'm not going to watch any of y'all's streams until this is over. But I can totally understand how you're successful as a content creator, because I think you've got a great way with words.
I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Other thing, if it's okay for me to say, I gotta learn. Like, I'm so curious about how you manage your facial hair.
Oh, what?
Because I think your face looks great. Like, I don't know what your skincare routine is. I don't know like what you use to shave, but like I have this stuff, and I don't like the way this looks. But dude, it looks baby face smooth.
Okay, so I just shaved today because I was like, I'm gonna be on Dr. K stream. But the other thing is, I let it go for like 4 days because I got really sensitive skin. And if I go
I have sensitive
more
skin
like
too.
more often, yeah, if I go more often than that, it's like you might as well just be chewing up your face.
Okay.
So once you let it go a little bit, then when you do have that shave, it's super satisfying.
That's
And it yeah.
okay. So actually it looks like we've come to the same conclusion, and it's not like you have some secret that I don't have. But I think it looks
No.
great. And how did that feel?
Brown guy problems. That felt very
Right?
related. Yeah. I don't like it doesn't even connect here, so I can't grow a beard. It just like I get like a
I
ring
know.
of hair.
You
on
just
the
it just
scalp.
looks bad. You can't.
What is that? Who does that? Why do you have
We
that?
do
Like,
that. We do that. Metric. That's who does that.
dumb.
We have
Like,
facial hair that I'm sure maybe I don't know, maybe Ruby and Kathy can relate to this too, but I imagine Zell can't grow a full bushy manly beard, nor can I don't know that Kathy or Ruby want to, but
This is my favorite part of the whole stream.
it's hard, dude. It's hard, you know, depending on your ethnicity, because like beards are in right now, and
Yeah. And brown guys can like grow a beard, like they could shave this morning and they'll have like a full beard by this afternoon. I don't know how they do it. But then here I am thinking like I am follically challenged. Like what
speaking,
what was
see,
the point?
I've never heard. It's brilliant.
It's like Yoda said, do or do not. There is no try, and my body was like, I guess I'll give it a go. Like, so.
How are you
Yeah.
feeling right now, Metric? How are you feeling right now?
Feel a lot better. that kind of that I wasn't expecting that.
I
But,
was
yeah.
I was honest. Like I know we're all talking about how you're inspiring and you make great content and shit, but honestly, like I looked at your face today and that's what I was like, damn. Everyone's talking about the hair. I don't think that's where the money is.
Baby lotion helps. You can baby lotion once a day. Nice and
Yeah.
smooth. Sometimes like a friend will accidentally touch my face and they're like, "What is this?" And I'm like, "Why is everyone touching my face?" And they're like, "It's so soft."
Loki, I want to touch your face.
All right, TwitchCon 2023. Let's do it.
I'm not saying I
Dedicated.
should. I know there's boundaries and whatnot, but like that.
I mean, like,
I was curious. Back of the hand, you know, just
For you, TwitchCon 2023. We'll do it. It'll be fine.
so. Homework for today. Touch Metric's fit.
Can I
so-
throw another compliment in? Metric,
Yeah.
you've made my day. Like you've made my day. You've made me smile and laugh. Like I needed a laugh this week.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, so you know, I think let me just try to get back into the right headspace. So does anyone want to kind of try to summarize? So I'm going to lean on y'all a little bit, one, because I'm frazzled, but secondly, just because I'm curious, like, what are people kind of taking away from this today?
I think this is very wholesome. I like it.
I think one of the things is that the kind of like I don't know what you'd call it, the pattern of which a compliment is said, accepted, and then you're like that whole process is a learned behavior that you can actively like learn, I guess. And I don't know, I guess that was interesting. It's not like this like it's not this like ethereal concept, you know, it's just a learned behavior that you can get better at.
Yeah, like when I go home, I'm actually gonna straight up look up, guides to accepting compliments. I was literally gonna make fun of myself, but I'm not gonna, because yeah, that seemed like a good segue into making fun of myself.
I wanted to ask Dr. K a question. Like, I know we're trying to get homework, but quick question. Is like accepting compliments a bit like, so I do a lot of I am affirmations, and they were really tough when I started doing them. They felt like lies. They felt like weird. And the more you practice, like, the more you find I am affirmations like easier to accept, because you start to actually find them in you, and you know, part of the reticular activation system, the things that you say to yourself you start to believe. And is compliments like a little bit like the same kind of system in your mind, of like, the more you learn to accept them, the more you will actually start to see genuine compliments through the, you know, the polite compliments, and accept them. Like,
At the risk of crashing the stream again, I think it's a great question. I don't think we actually need to do homework this week if nothing is popping, but maybe I'll send something to y'all on Discord. But if it's okay with y'all, what I'd love to do is just talk a little bit about how our minds change. So what I'm going to do is screen share with y'all. Can y'all see this?
Yes.
Okay. So let's understand a couple of things. So as content creators,
There you go. Okay.
we are very sensitive to feedback. And generally speaking, what content creators do is dismiss good metrics, no pun intended, and see bad metrics, right? Like, if you have 200 more concurrent viewers today, and then you drop by 200 tomorrow, you're not going to see the win. You're just going to see the loss. So this also goes back to what Zell was saying, where Zell is like, okay, let's say that this is success. Let's say this is time. Metric is living life. And it goes like this. Let's say the average is like this. And this is progress. But when metric is right here, this is what he knows is inevitably going to happen. And when he gets here, he wipes all of this away. Does that make sense? Zell, this is what you were alluding to, right? During this period of time when you're supporting your family, do you view that as a success? No. And so this is really interesting, because if this is the way that you live life, how can you ever be confident in yourself? Because you ignore the actual, like, I mean, it's almost like area under the curve kind of stuff, right? Where there's like area under the curve here, which is all good. This is all winning. But all that area under the curve is ignored whenever you have a setback. So now let's talk a little bit about change. This attitude in life is going to lead to like a lack of confidence. And this is where Metric was kind of alluding to some stuff earlier, where he was like, you know, he talked about his dad a lot, where he was like, you know, this point would happen no matter what. Because even if you think about, okay, can I get through the day without my dad getting upset with me? And so even if he can get through 4 hours, if dad gets upset with me for 5 minutes here, and then he's got 4 more hours of being fine, we're not saying that that's actually what happened. I mean, it may have been way, you know, dad gets upset with you for 5 hours. But even like during that day, like, this is a loss, because his thinking is binary. Do y'all see that? Like, we're not thinking about area under the curve. We're thinking about binary loss. If I'm losing y'all, it'll become a little bit more clear in a second. So now let's understand why it's hard to build confidence. So we dismiss the good and we see the bad. So Metric learned a really interesting adaptive strategy. I don't want kids to... It's better for me to laugh with people than it is for them to laugh at me. Right? So, like, here I am. Here's a bunch of kids. They're laughing at me. Right? And what I'm going to do is move over here and join them. And then we can all have a laugh together. At least I'm not othered in that situation. So his brain learned something really, really important, which was a survival mechanism, which is if I make fun of myself first, then no one can hurt me. Because if no one can one up the way that I degrade myself, then then I'm still in control, right? So what he buys from this, he buys control. He buys, in a weird way, companionship. But the price that he pays is negative self-talk. And we've seen this, right? We caught him multiple times. Whether you want to call it hokey poking or devaluing yourself or like whatever. And anytime there's a positive statement, the negative self-talk is going to slip in. Now we get to Ruby's question. So this is the way that his mind works. Where if there's a positive from the outside, let's say this is Metric's brain, he's going to knock that out. If it's a negative from the outside, he's going to let it in. If a positive charge arises in his mind, it's going to create a negative charge. So at best, it's going to be neutral, but we're going to let in the negative stuff. So like his mind is a negative place with negative self-attitude and negative self-talk. Y'all with me? Now, Ruby's question was something about affirmations and like, how is it that at the beginning I reject those affirmations and later on I'm able to accept them? So this actually has to do with neuronal rewiring. So today at the end, Metric said, I was about to say something negative about myself and I stopped it, right? Did y'all catch that when he said that right at the very end? I'm not going to say that. So in that moment, literally this thing wants to be born and his frontal lobes are shutting it off. They're saying, no, we're not going to think that thought. And what I want y'all to understand about neurons in the brain and the thoughts that we have is that they're kind of like game trails. Let's say I've got a bunch of grass. And a rabbit wants to walk through the field. So it goes like this. And it tramples some grass here, some grass here. And now there's a very slight game trail. And so the next day, like let's say a hedgehog comes through. And it looks at all this grass and it sees, oh, there's a very slight trail. So the hedgehog walks through here as well. Tramples more grass, and then a deer walks through. And then over time, you develop a game trail. Same way that it works with our thoughts. So the first time you make an I am statement, there's more resistance within the neurons in your mind. The second time you make it, there's less resistance. And so Ruby was our first complimenter. And so like Metric had trouble taking it in. So Ruby was our opening salvo, right? Kathy was our follow-up attack. And then Zell did some serious deeps. And then like by the end, it was easy. Like y'all set me up for a layup. Easy to KO Metric. Right? We started with one and then we talked about shaving and then it's like GG. Get wrecked, noob. Right? So we can see is that like literally and then if you pay attention, because at the very beginning when I asked y'all, can Metric handle a compliment? And Ruby was like, I don't think so. And we were right then. But literally over the course of today, what we've managed to do is like lay these game trails down. And now Metric catches himself. This whole time we've been catching him and he doesn't even realize it. And now he's like, I was about to say something negative about myself and I'm not going to. Is the thought there? Absolutely. Is the belief there? Absolutely. But it starts by changing your mind just a little bit there. And Metric, if you keep this up, your opinion of yourself will change. If you don't keep this up, it may not change much. Now, I'm not saying that I wouldn't blame you if you don't keep it up, right? So that's where we've got to be a little bit careful. But that's where we have to continue to be careful. So we're going to help him keep it up by still pointing out and raising awareness of these thoughts. And then, Ruby, something magical happens when you have enough of these game trails. What you'll start to discover is that those I am statements they feel fake because you lack confidence. Okay, so I lack confidence because you actually alluded to a couple of interesting things. And then when you make an I am statement, I am positive in some way, this feels fake. But as you lay this game trail, as we stop this stuff, we start to build up a positive sense of self-esteem. So even though it feels fake, we're becoming positive. And then what this happens is we start to develop confidence. And then what happens is we can recognize real positives. And then when we make an I am statement based on this, we can accept it because it feels more real. Right? And this is kind of how I would map that out. But changing negative self-talk is also something that we're not taught. But like, I really want to applaud all of you today for I mean, you know, it doesn't take, he's not fixed. But like, he's really made a lot of progress, and y'all are the ones that helped him get there. And this is the kind of thing where like, you did really a masterful job of not complimenting Metric for 90 minutes. Because the second you compliment him, it triggers all of this crap. But by raising awareness of this stuff, we could help Metric do this. If we had jumped straight to the compliment, we'd said, oh no, Metric, you're so great. Like, why don't you love yourself? You deserve to love yourself. You're great. You have great skin. You have great hair. You're such a great entertaining content creator. We love you so much, man. You've got cool glasses, all these kinds of things. And then Metric's not going to accept it. And it's hard for him to accept it. Like, we know we made him uncomfortable, right? That's why y'all, like, y'all are awesome. Like, you sussed out that this is going to make him uncomfortable. Now, that's where, you know, so I encourage y'all, because the key thing is we're not here to make Metric comfortable. We're here to help him grow. And so sometimes you have to embrace that discomfort and kind of challenge him. And, you know, like, we have faith in him. I'm sure if we say, like, Metric, are you okay being challenged? He's like, yeah, no big, I've been challenged my whole life, and I've failed every single time. That's what he would say. But we have faith in him. We know he's not going to fail. Right? And we're okay if he does. Like, it's okay to fail. Like, we don't mind. Like, if you wind up here, Metric, we're going to walk this path with you. And then we're going to challenge you. And if you stumble, we're going to walk this path with you. Until you get it. Because we know you can get there, because we see the value of who you are. And the last thing that I'll leave you with, Metric, something for you to think about, is you said, as people were sort of sharing stuff with you about, oh, you know, like, you're so open. And you were saying, well, that's nothing special. Last thing that I want to leave y'all with is, maybe this is homework for the day. Do you need to be something special to be appreciated?
Dang.
Like, can we just like you, even if you're not great? Can we just like you for who you are without you being exceptional in any way, shape, or form? I don't know how that's homework, but that's the question that I have for all of y'all. Last thing is that if we get to see Kathy next week, we're going to talk to her about ambition. I know she's got a lot of stuff I'm sure she forgot. We didn't remember. She has a lot to accomplish on this earth. We're going to help her do it. Last thoughts or questions before we wrap up for the day?
That was really cool. Thank you.
Okay.
Nothing else other than this is a very unique experience. I think I don't know. I just don't know. I just don't come across this often. So thank you,
Who are you thanking?
everybody.
Well, thank you all very much. I agree. This is unique. I think it's special what we're doing here. And it doesn't work unless y'all show up. And huge props to Kathy for like showing up today when I'm sure you had 1,000 reasons not to. If you didn't show up today, no one would blame you. And I very much appreciate that you chose to. Like, I'm not trying to shame anyone who doesn't show up, but like I recognize that it took energy to show up today, and I'm like incredibly grateful, because I don't think we would not have gotten here. We would not have gotten where we did with Metric without you. So that's like legit. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Take care, everybody.
You too. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Love you.
Okay. We got to figure out who we're rating real quick. And yeah, I don't know if we have time. We're gonna raid like super quick, dude. Just toss someone out. If you guys, so I don't have much of a summary beyond, you know, what we showed on the iPad, but I think all y'all should. Understanding how to change negative self-talk is very important. Karibo's shoe? Little Karibo? Little Karibo. Cool. Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. Let's go. All right, chat. We'll see y'all tomorrow. I think we're streaming tomorrow, right? Yeah. So we're streaming like all day, every day. No. We're streaming tomorrow. Strong work today. Hopefully y'all, you know, learn something, gained something from this. So take care, everybody.